So is it possible to use an online business to receive an E-2 visa here in America? We hear this question a lot, and so today I wanted to talk briefly about whether you can really use an online business to receive an E-2 visa. Once again, my name is Charles Rather. I'm the managing partner here at AmLaw Group, and today we're going to talk more detail about this question and get some clarity as to using an online business for E-2. So as you probably know, an E-2 visa requires you to make an investment, usually about $100,000 into a new business, or you can use that money to buy an existing business. So let's say you have a great online business, maybe back in your home country. A lot of our clients have an existing online business, an e-commerce type business, very often maybe using Amazon as their primary platform for making sales. And they want to continue that business here in the US, and based on that, for an E-2. The short answer is yes, you can. The long answer is a little bit more nuanced. So like any business for an E-2 visa, you have to show that the business is active and real and not a passive business. Now, just because you have an e-commerce business doesn't necessarily make it passive. And in fact, anybody who's had an e-commerce business probably could attest to the fact that there's a lot of work that's involved. Even though you might be sitting at a laptop the majority of the day, you're still actively running the business, whether it's, changing listings, posting listings, packaging the product, sending it out. It's an active business. So I think in most cases you would meet that criteria of being an active business. The challenge that sometimes comes up with an online business for E-2 is showing that there's really a need for you to be here in the US. Now, there's not a requirement per se for an E-2 that you have to prove specifically that your presence is necessary in the US, but it's kind of a logical conclusion of that process, right? So especially if you have a successful ongoing business back in your home country, and if you come to the embassy and say, hey, I have a great business, I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in my online business, and I want to move to the US and continue to do this. The officer most likely is going to have a question, well, why do you even need to come to the US to do that? If you're so successful right now, you're doing this all remotely, why do you even need an E-2, which requires or generally presumes that you have a presence here in the US? This is where you need to present a positive spin as to why your presence really is necessary. From our experience, it's generally adequate if you talk about you have business plan, expansion plans. Maybe you want to expand to working with either new buyers or new suppliers that might be in the US, and your presence here might be necessary to cut some deals with them and make some arrangements. Another effective argument to take is that you might plan on expanding into a brick and mortar format, or you want to expand into other brick and mortar stores that are currently in the US. That, of course, makes sense that you want to expand beyond an online platform and start selling your product on some other platforms. So all of these different arguments we put together to try to explain the need for the applicant's presence in the US. And a lot, again, kind of depends on each person's particular situation. These are just some generalized recommendations and comments, but to get an effective plan that would maximize your ability of getting approved, it's necessary for us to speak with you personally, work out a personalized plan that's based on your actual business, what your business growth plans are, and how to come up with an effective strategy to ensure that you get that E-2 approval. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. Better yet, I would suggest signing up for our channel. Even better if you can leave a like if you found this information helpful, and we look forward to speaking to you in the near future.